So I have now the mission to give you an indication of what spec or class are going to be at least fun to play in the War Within, a prediction on the kind of meta, if it's going to be a viable pick or not, but also just in general, is it going to be a good class or spec to play going into War Within. I'm going to give you a disclaimer, and I think I'm going to do it multiple times in the video because, again, most people kind of skip through it. I prefer not, but I cannot really control your YouTube video. So, pretty much, it is not a meta tier list. I don't know the meta for War Within because balancing is still going. What I know is that design wise, they are not going to move too much until release because, again, it's 1 month till pre-patch and probably like now 2 months before it actually launches. So I don't know if they're going to do much of a design change throughout the specs and classes. So I'm very sorry for shamans, which I'm also sorry for myself. They're most likely not going to have a rework, maybe for a bit later into the season, maybe like a Paladin rework, like a 10.0.7, but it will be a 11.0.7 kind of patch. But overall, some specs has no opinion from me because I frankly do not really have an opinion about it, and I don't want to misguide you. So I'm going to put that in the tanks or no opinion about it. Why did I put tanks onto the tank tier? Because again, I don't know, frankly speaking, if a tank is going to be interesting to play because I don't play tanks. And if I do in PvP, it is mostly to troll or to show you guys a new way to have fun, but it's nowhere near like a competitive thing. So it's very hard to recommend people to play it in War Within. So this is more of a recommend. I do recommend those classes or specs to play in PvP in War Within because I do believe the potential, although the balancing may change from now to War Within release. So let's start right away with the juicy warriors because again I think warrior is one of the classes I am confident to talk about 100%. Since I have already tested multiple times, I did 2 videos about arms and fury, and I do believe that I have a good idea on their strengths and weaknesses throughout the hero specs, hero talents, and just also the reworks that they got for the spec and class tree. And in general, I do know that Arms Warrior is going to be a very recommended spec to play. It has always been one of the specs that are the most interesting to play in any expansion because of like Blizzard actually wanting it to be very good. So it's not only like something that you're like kind of guaranteed of being like viable, especially season 1, because season 1 with the stats, it really goes on the base kit of the spec. I do feel like the base kit of Arms Warrior is very, very strong. The hero talents, if you're going Colossus, you're going to do insane amount of damage. Although, again, you can defend yourself versus that. I don't feel like it's like OP. I do feel like it has its strength, it has its one-shot potential, but it is something that you have to build through towards. So it's not going to be a easy one-button win. But Colossus is going to feel very good. Slayer is going to be a very good hero talent for the meta hero talents that they got. It's not like the damage that is going to be very important, but it's the multiple things that are going to help you to deal damage. That's something that you don't have as Colossus. Colossus is really like sturdy, but way less mobile than Slayer. But if I have to recommend a melee, if someone says like, "Look, Togre, what do I want to what would you suggest me to play melee wise?" I would say always Arms Warrior, or at least at the very least Warrior. The second recommendation I would say is also Fury Warrior, but to a lesser extent because I do feel like Fury Warrior has less meta moments in general. I do feel like the changes they got on the PTR, on the spec tree, on the class tree, and also the hero tons, it does feel very good to play. It does also feel like finally Slaughterhouse is something you can stack on any target, even if there is a mortal strike effect. At least you can stack it, and if it overcomes the mortal strike effect, it actually overrides the mortal strike effect of 25%. For example, if you have like 30%, it will override, which is something very good, which we don't have in Dragonflight. I feel like the spec tree is way better right now than in Dragonflight. I think Dragonflight's talent trees were a bit whack, and since they changed a few things on the talents and how they work and how enrage works and how they want you to press Bloodthirst and Raging Blow, or the equivalent, which is Crushing Blow and a Bloodbath, for Bloodthirst being Bloodbath and Raging Blow being Crushing Blow. So that's something very good as well. Finally, Bladestorm as well for Fury Warrior, which is immense. Like something you can avoid CC with is always going to be something very highly praised by me. That's something we missed in Dragonflight, which I had in Shadowlands, and it really never felt the same. I feel like in this current iterations of Warrior, you kind of need a Bladestorm to survive and to get away from CC and to break CC as well. And I would say that the hero talents are interesting on the Slayer. Again, it's not fantastic. I already said that. Like, it's really like basic, but it helps you to survive and to be mobile in a lot of situations. So people will probably play it. But Monster Thane does feel very nice. Like a hero talent should be like visual, should be feeling good, should be making your kit enhanced and getting like points that you would never get, like Thunderclap, for example, being Thunderblast and being very, very interesting in PvP in general. Is something that I was looking forward in hero talents and which I never really got on all specs. I think some specs have it very good, and some specs are really very basic. Like, for example, the Hunter hero talents are really basic, and I don't feel like I'm playing a hero talent whenever I'm playing it. But that's my opinion again. Now let's talk about, I think the hardest specs for me to judge. I'm going to already put it away because I think a lot of people kind of wants to know. I can't really judge the Evoker specs. I think Preservation Evoker, for seeing already the things I have seen, I think it will be a desirable spec to play. But again, it's something that's very hard to recommend for me because I don't like to play Evoker because of the aesthetic of it. It's purely because of that. If I could make a human Evoker where I can see my armor at any time, even in combat, because if you're in combat, you're transforming to that Draktea form, you don't see your armor, which I find very, very sucky for MMORPG to not show you any items. If I want to do like this, I would be playing Druid, because then I can shapeshift at any time into cat form and I would not see my armor. But at least I know it's a Druid. He can shapeshift back to human, or to a night elf, of course, because again, the human form, I mean, the humanoid form. Basically, you can see your armor whenever you can. But in Preservation Evoker, if you're in combat, you're not able to be seen with your armor. So that first sucks, but also I don't really like the aesthetic of the Drake, like being very, very slim. But I already said that multiple tier lists, but you already know my opinion. I think the gameplay, if it was like a Night Elf or a human or whatever, like even Orc, Tauren, even Troll, I would be playing it because it is interesting, but that's it. For Devastation Augmentation Evoker, I never really liked it, so it's very hard to opinionate it about because I don't want to misjudge it. From what I've seen on the Soul Shuffles I played, on the BGs I played, it does feel good. It does feel like it's strong. So if you're like looking for something that is going to be interesting to play in War Within, it might be interesting, but it's very hard to be opinionated about. I'm going to judge a few specs, like for example Mistweaver. I have no opinion about currently. I have seen some. It does feel, or at least seen, like very strong. But again, it's Mistweaver and it's either fist weaving or it's either like casting Mistweaver. But both is possible in PvP, so you should know that as well. And that's pretty much it. I can pretty much give you an opinion on any other spec from that list. But let's start with, I think, shamans, because I already like talked about shamans multiple times, and I have like a straight opinion about it. I think if you want to play healer and you want to play a healer that is very reliable because it didn't really change too much, it would be Restoration Shaman, but I would put that in B tier because of the no change fact. And B tier is not bad, it's like average, right? It means that if you're playing Dragonflight and you love it, you're going to love it in War Within as well, because it's basically the same. It got like a few buttons removed because, like, for example, if you do play Sky Fury Totem, which you don't really play that much, but if you do play that, it gets activated by Primordial Wave. I think their hero taunts are pretty anticlimactic. I think Totemic is literally it's not useful in PvP. Like, you cannot play with like a healing rain kind of heal. It's too little, and it doesn't heal that much, and it will never heal that much because of PvE. They have to slap a 200% modifier on it to actually say, like, okay, this is PvP possible, right? And that's never going to happen, except if it's like a PvP modifier. But even for that, it's going to be quite difficult for them to actually not make it broken, because it's AoE. It's like little effort to heal. So and Farseer has been better for Restoration Shaman and Elemental Shaman because of how it's activated. It's like every 15 seconds you can have an like a clone. I don't know how it's called anymore. It's with an A. Ascendant. I don't know. I don't know how it's called anymore, but it's more reliable and you have more benefits. And having 3 Riptides is actually very strong because you get like a Riptide charge with it. So that's it. And obviously, I think it not being changed enough, it's very hard to recommend something that is actually like very unchanged between Dragonflight and right now. So if you want to play Restoration Shaman and you love Restoration Shaman, well, it's going to be the same. So you're going to still love it. If you're like looking for a change, for now there is no real changes, and everyone complains about it, but I don't know if they're going to do it. Elemental Shaman, I for now do not recommend. I think Stormbringer, it being very cool design wise, it doesn't work with current kit because of the utilitarian design. Like, you have the design, which is the visual, and then you have the design, which is the gameplay loop. And I think the gameplay loop of Stormbringer is actually really not fun right now. It being a 2-second cast, which is not affected by any buffs from Lightning Bolt, which is not affected by anything from the PvP taunts as well. It's not like it's something like, it seems like it's not an Elemental Shaman spell. It seems like it's a racial pretty much. That's how it feels, because it doesn't have any correlation with any of the spec trees or the class trees or just the baseline kit. So if until they fix that and they give you like a straight link, like if it's replacing Lightning Bolt, it gets all the benefits of Lightning Bolt. So it being able to be cast while you're having a Stormkeeper, for example, that would be good. Then it would shoot up, but right now it is not possible. I do feel like Farseer is really low impact right now, like really low impact. And I'm not even talking about balance. I think it's really design wise, you don't really see too much, and it will never be very relevant damage wise, because then it would break the game, because it's too easy how to activate it, and it activates enough to, if it's buffed too good, it would be like very hard to balance. So for me, they've written themselves into a corner. Farseer has been the hero talent that has the most work currently, so I don't feel like they're going to change the design as well. So only Elemental Shaman, only the bouncing will make you probably shoot up into the tier list because of it being meta. But right now, I don't see any reason why I would put it higher. I know the Lightning Fantasy, I really like it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work gameplay wise, at least for PvP. I know for PvE you can like spam chain lightning and have a lot of like earthquakes, and it can be very fun. I understand that, but raid wise, first and foremost, has no utility. Elemental Shaman brings you nothing into the raid. So if it's like balancing and the numbers are not good, it's not going to be taken. Mythic Plus, it can be good probably with all the chain lightning, and Tempest can also AoE, and so there is a bit of things that could work. PvP wise, it would, technically, if you play Dragonflight and you love it right now, you're going to probably love it in War Within playing Farseer. Don't play Stormbringer, because that would probably change the way you are playing the game. But if you love, like, I don't know, the lava burst, slinging meatballs instance and such, it's pretty much the more of the same, pretty much. Nothing changes from what you have been playing right now in Dragonflight and War Within. That's what you're going to be expecting playing Elemental Shaman. Enhancement Shaman, first and foremost, I'm going to say that my opinion is I'm going to probably main it. So that's me, right? I love Enhancement Shaman. I think the fantasy of Enhancement Shaman is very fun. I think the fantasy and the possibility that it should be possible to have like three different builds that are actually playing with three different stats, which could be actually interesting to play around. And a Stormbringer, after carefully testing, it is usable in PvP, although it is lacking in balancing, it's lacking on different some things, like for example, implementation is not always good. But the design is Stormbringer, I think, it really meshes well with Enhanced because of the Maelstrom weapons making it instant. If you have to cast like 2 seconds, it becomes very clunky and does no damage as well. So at least with Maelstrom weapon, you can actually get some meaningful damage, which you could have with Lightning Bolt, but it does slightly better damage than Lightning Bolt, so you could gain the benefit. I think Totemic, if it is tuned correctly, it could see play, but it's not like wow, it's not like interesting. But we'll have to see. But for me, it's going to be S. But I'm going to say for the average Joe that is waiting for changes, that is waiting for like really changes that should be happening. So I'm not saying that they should not be changed. I think they should. I think the rework should be hitting. I think Storm Strike should be something that like Arms Warrior is using as a Mortal Strike, right? I think Storm Strike is so iconic that it feels really weird that it is actually a filler or just a builder, not really a spender. I think if Storm Strike was a spender and it was doing some meaningful damage and it would be nature instead of physical, that would be actually shooting up on my estimates. But right now I'm going to put it B tier because I have a bias. I would say if you don't have a bias towards like Enhancement Shaman, it would be C tier because it is better than Elemental Shaman, that's for sure. Not balancing wise, but I think the implementation wise and how it plays, it is more fun. But I think power wise, I think who is stronger right now in PvP, it is probably Elemental Shaman towards Enhancement Shaman. But Elemental Shaman really is about the numbers. If the numbers are correct, it's going to be strong. If the numbers are not correct, it will not see play because it is just not doing its job. While Enhancement Shaman, right now it is not really fantastic, so it will get buffed. It will get a rework. I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know what, but it will be probably better than what we have right now. So it is a investment for the future. You're going to play a spec that is going to over time get better, because I do feel like in Dragonflight it didn't get changed enough, and in War Within we will get a change. If it's a 10.0.7 change or if it's going to be coming out before the War Within, that I don't know. So I'm going to put that at B tier right now. It is personal. I understand that some people will not like it, but it is again a opinionated tier list. So it is not. It is really not like fact what I'm saying right now. I want to talk about DKs because I also tested a lot DKs, and I do feel that currently Frost Decay is a huge improvement from what we have in Dragonflight. So if you were waiting to play DK because Dragonflight didn't feel good, they had like lack of defensives, they had like lack of outside of burst potential, I think right now Frost Decay could actually sway you into playing it. And that's a good thing. It means that they are actually making a rework that works and that is feeling good. Now, they could change a few things here and there. I think PvP talents are really restrictive. I think there are still a few talents here and there that should maybe be baseline. I think they should like put Chill Streak baseline pretty much. I would appreciate it if it was baseline and you had like probably a talent to improve it on the tree, but like not really like taking 2 or 3 talents to make it work. That would be good. I think Frostwhelm Fury should be also shaven off at point, so it is stunning and it's a 1.5 minute CD instead of like having to have a 3-minute CD and then getting another talent to have like a half CD, so it's a 1.5 minute CD. I think it's quite dumb, but I think I'm really satisfied for Frost Decay. It still lacks like a mortal wound effect, so you will still be not as competitive as other specs, but it is a straight improvement. So I cannot put that like lower than A tier, because if I have to compare with Dragonflight, it is actually like doing its job right now. Unholy Decay, I think with the changes that they got and how it feels and how it plays with the hero talents, it has potential. So I'm going to put that at A tier as well. It has changed less than Frost Decay, but there are a few things that are going to be quite fun to play around. Abomination is going to be coming back as well. They are going to give you a few talents for free because of the pathing, and the class tree is made in such a way that Unholy Decay is going to have a lot of benefits from it, and the spec tree is way better than previously, in my opinion. You have like 2 or 3 builds that you can play with also hero talents switching between them. So you have also variety, and I think compared to what we had previous expansion, it is a straight benefit as well. Let's talk about hunters. Again, I think hunter, if you are like waiting to play a great fun spec and that you're going to enjoy the changes that they got from Dragonflight and War Within, I do feel like Survival Hunter is going to be the biggest winner currently on the PTR. The changes that they got, the buffs they get, the baseline abilities they get as well, so you have more points to spend. The overall damage and the profile of its damage, the visuals of it, I think it's a great talent spec. Now, I'm going to say that the hero talents are going to put it to A tier. So if hero talents weren't a thing and nobody were playing hero talents, it would be easily a S tier spec. But it being like a feature for an expansion and having hunter hero talents being that bad feels like it is really going to be annoying to play hunter, because you're going to see the hero talents from other specs. I'm going to give you the like Fire Mage, Frost Mage, and Arcane Mage has like interesting specs and how it plays, and it feels like visually different. It feels like Survival Hunter, just Hunter specs in general, got the shorter end of the stick, which is not always fun. So I'm going to put that at A tier because of the spec and the class tree and the changes that they get. But overall, the hero talents are really like stopping the progress of a survival hunter's enjoyment, I would say. MM Hunter, I would say B tier pretty much if you have played Shadowlands and Dragonflight Marksmanship Hunter. You have also played War Within. They changed the class tree pretty significantly, the spec tree as well, but it doesn't feel like your gameplay is much different. It does feel like, again, you have less uninteresting talents, but if you have played Dragonflight and you loved it and you're going to play War Within, you're going to see like it hasn't changed too much. And the hero talents are also a problem for MM, which is annoying because it's pretty much you're going to choose between defensives or you're going to choose between the offensive talents from hero talents, and that is going to be like a very boring choice. I think it's more fun if you could actually choose between 2 designs that are very well implemented, and then you're going to see the balance behind it. But right now for hunters, you're not really talking about the hero talents, you're going to talk about the throughput talents to actually choose which one you're going to choose as a hero talent. So obviously we're going to talk about BM as well. And BM is going to be probably in a better spot than before, because of the fact that they got a rework, and it is going to be much more interesting to play because you have dots that are going to improve your pet damage. You're going to have obviously more summons, which are going to lead to more difference in gameplay. I feel like currently you are not tuned very well, so it means that your way is only up in PvP. If it's going to be tuned upwards, so it means a buff, that would also end up being a very good choice if you're going to main like a BM Hunter. I'm going to put that also in A tier. I can't put it in B tier. I do feel like MM, I can put it C tier, but For again a bit of a coherency, I would put that in B tier because it doesn't really change too much. BM Hunter has changed in positive, so that's why it's getting an A tier spot. Now, Druid wise, very interesting. I would say Resto Druid, if you love playing like a very aggressive Resto Druid that is weaving between Starfires and Rafts and Star Surges and your healing, you are going to love it. It is a S tier spec. I have tested the two hero taunts with the two different, like in Feral Affinity or in not really Moonkin Affinity anymore, but basically the balanced spell if affinity, and I will explain it as well. So Restoration Druid has better healing right now, in my opinion, but also you are going to be able to not shapeshift into Moonkin form and get the same value as if you were in Moonkin form. So Heart of the Wild works as balanced spells and not Moonkin form. So it means that any bubble spells that you're going to do, the damage is going to be increased and the cast time is going to be reduced. So it means if you are going to do a Starfire as a human form druid, you're going to have the same benefits as if you were Starfiring as a Moonkin. I already critted in PvP around 1.4 million damage. It is really high and it is really competitive. Think about it, 1.4 million damage. It is generally going to be more than a moral strike, which is really impressive for just one Starfire. Imagine if you're going to crit back to backs, you're going to decimate someone. And you can also just Wrath span. You have also like a hero taunt, which is I think chosen of not chosen of the Heloon, but the Grove, the Druid of the Grove or something like that, and where you basically get a proc where if you have done like 5 regrows, you're getting a free Wrath instant and it does 100% more damage. If you have Heart of the Wild up, you have everything up, you're pretty much doing like a instant 1 million Wrath with like all buffs. It is a lot. It does a lot of damage. And the healing and how it plays and the mobility and the class tree has been changed and the spec tree has been changed. That makes for very interesting gameplay, and I look forward to play it, and I look forward to see you guys see me play as a Resto Druid. So that's if I currently have to choose a healer and to main a healer, I would probably go for Druid because of having two different specs that are going to be very interesting in PvP, but also having a healer spec like Resto Druid being very competitive in 2s, very competitive in 3s, solo shuffle and solo QRBGs. I do feel like it's going to be a very fun spec to play. And the design is also very well made in my opinion. Feral Druid, I have played a bit, and it does good damage, but it's always the same, right? It's the same as an Enhancement Shaman where it feels like you are playing a worse version of Feral Druid than, let's say, Cataclysm or even Mist of Pandaria. Um, I feel like it should go back to a more like dot heavy playstyle, because right now it's like, I understand, I also love it, right? Doing a big bite, which does like a lot of damage. It's very fun, but I feel like it gets very old very quickly, and I think PvP taunt, which gives you free Feral Frenzy, kind of ruins it for Feral Druids, because if it becomes very strong like Feral Frenzy, they have to pretty much take into account the PvP taunt, so they have to overly nerf it. I think they should remove the taunt of cycloning and getting a Feral Frenzy for free, and reworking it, I guess. But also, then at that point, you can actually expect more changes towards the bleed damage. But right now, they cannot really buff it because of that. And I do feel like the hero taunts can be very fun, and they do play very fun. Um, but I do still feel like going for bites is like not that interesting. I do prefer to have rake, rip up, thrash, even trying to run away, doing a big bite and then running away because of all the bleeds. Then right now what we have is pretty much you're playing a warrior, and barrel form is actually very effective as well, which is a good thing. But yeah, I kind of miss the days where Feral Druid could actually heal a lot. because then you would be playing double DPS 2v2, and that would be very fun. But I understand why they don't do it, because of the balancing issues that it can bring. But right now, for me, it's B tier. Balance rate is going to be S tier. If you're looking for a caster that is going to be very mobile, doing some good CC, even like extremely good CC, that does insane amount of damage, that the damage profile is not that much different from Dragonflight, but it is built upon and getting better, so it does feel like it is going to be again Balanced Druid of Warcraft, or World of Balanced Druid, I don't know how you want to call it. And Balanced Druid is really, really good, at least in PvP. I don't know how it's going to be in PvE, but in PvP it stays strong. Paladin, Retribution Paladin is going to be somewhat interesting. I kind of like it, so I'm going to put it at 8 here. The hero towns are very flavorful, very visual as well. Some may like it, some may not, but I do like the way that they're going, direction. Their damage is going to be quite different because of mastery being like something now a bit more active than passive. I feel like Hammer of Wrath doing immense amount of damage is quite fun to see, so I like that. And I do feel like, again, I understand you don't like the range properties that paladins can have, but Retribution Paladin having like a lot of range helps with the balancing, because you don't need to put like any mobility towards Retribution Paladin, and you could concentrate on the things that matters, like survivability. Holy Paladin, I tested. It feels clunky. The Lightsmith, I didn't really like it because it didn't really have a lot of impact. And the Herald of the Sun is something that is going to be interesting, but it gets already nerfed in PTR, so it means that you're going to have not a broken state, but like a bit less interesting state. So for me, the spec tree hasn't changed enough to warrant a S tier. That's for sure. The class tree didn't really get changes as well. I think the Blessing of Sacrifice, it has been nerfed, so no more 1 minute CD. It's going to be a bit less. I'm going to put that at B tier right now. I do feel like once they changed melee crusade, like melee wings, it could be interesting to play around. But right now, I really want to be playing melee wings and do more damage. I think the damage is really low, except for Denounce, which is casted, which is only like school. So if you're getting locked out, you're going to probably die. So right now for me, it's going to be B tier. Enjoyment wise, if you're looking like for a healer, I would not really recommend Holy Paladin. You can recommend it, but it's not going to be like a top 1 recommend. Let's talk about Warlocks. A Destruction Warlock is going to be very interesting to play. Spec tree has been changed a lot. Class tree has been changed a lot. And the hero towns are going to be very, very flavorful. And I think you're going to love your time as Destruction Warlock. Balancing wise, it can change still. But overall, I really approve the Warlock specs in general. If I talk about Demonology Warlock, I do feel like it's also a straight improvement from War Within, from Dragonflight. In War Within, you're going to be able to deal damage very interestingly. Your Gloomhound, which is the improvement of Vile Fiend, is going to be also quite interesting as well. And overall, Demonology Warlock is going to be in a state where I find that you're going to cost more, but whenever you're going to cast, it's going to be high impact, so it's also quite fun to play around. Affliction Warlock, also S tier, A tier. I could be S tier, to be honest. I'm going to put that at S tier. I think the fantasy is going to be a bit better than Dragonflight. Wither, which is from the Hero Towns, is going to be played probably 99% of the time because of the huge damage amount that they are going to do, but also a lot, I would say, easier to play right now than in Dragonflight, because you only need 2 dots. They have to dispel it, which is not always easy because you can also land an instable affliction at the same time and they get like silenced and damaged. But overall, I think Affliction Warlock is in a good spot. And if you're like looking for a caster, I would recommend Warlock like 100%, especially with all the changes. Havoc Demon Hunter. I frankly do not have an opinion, but I would say I recommend it to play because it is very strong. But design wise, I don't know. So that's more of a no opinion kinda. But I feel like whenever I'm facing a demon hunter or like I'm facing a 1v1, it does feel very strong and unfair. So if you want to play something that is very meta, I think Demon Hunter is again something that is going to be very meta. So interestingly, you can still play it. But I would recommend Warrior above DH because of having two specs. Um, More interestingly, you have a lot of options in the hero tons as well. So I feel like you're going to have a lot of tools as a Demon Hunter to play around. Mages. I think Frost Mage is a bit boring, to be fair. They haven't changed too much. You have hero tons that are going to be high impact, but it will really depend on how you use that information. So right now I'm going to put that at Frost. Frost Mage as B tier. Fire Mage is going to be S tier as well. You will see a lot of S tiers because I do feel like some talents, like some classes, are really well made. I do feel like Fire Mage is one of them. You have two hero talents that are both usable. One is like spawning a Phoenix, which is also very fun to see, although I don't feel like it does too much, but that's balancing pretty much. And yourself are getting buffed as well. I do feel like in general, Fire Mage with changes to Living Bomb and how it works, to Meteor and how it works, towards Hyperthermia and how it works. The one where you can sling Pyroblasts instantly without having hot streaks. I don't even know the correct name, but that is also something that happened to me. So I do feel like Fire Mage is going to be in a great spot going into War Within. So I would highly recommend with how it plays. Arcane Mage, I frankly do not have an opinion about it because I didn't play too much Arcane Mage in Dragonflight. But also, from what I've seen, it feels in a better state, but it also feels like I personally have to play way more Arcane Mage to actually know if it's going to be like a very good spec overall. So no opinions about it. Windwalker is going to be the next, and Windwalker is going to be a straight S tier as well. They have a lot of changes towards the spec tree. A lot of stuff are actually trying to implement like haste into a viable stat for Windwalkers, which is again something that is always going to be fun to have multiple stats that are going to be working together. I do feel like I recommend Windwalker because of it being going to be strong in War Within. I think the hero tons are very flavorful as well. The spec tree has been changed by a lot. The class tree was also a bit. So if you want to have like a fresh class or fresh spec and you have played in Dragonflight, in War Within it will be vastly different with Fist of Fury and how it works. Now, Rogue and Priest. I'm going to start with Rogue. Outlaw Rogue, I'm going to say that I have currently no opinion about it. Yeah, I feel like Outlaw Rogue is kind of paying how it goes with the hero tons. And since I didn't really play too much Outlaw Rogue, it's very hard for me to have an opinion about it. So I'm very sorry. Assassination Rogue, I'm going to be blunt. The hero towns for assassination and subtlety rogue just make them C tier because of that. I think the kit and the spec tree and the class tree are quite done. They're feeling good, but once you have your hero towns, it feels like you're gimping yourself. It feels like you're breaking CC. It feels like you're not really using the tools that you can because you don't have it. I overall don't really like those two hero towns possibilities for both specs. So right now, yeah, for now it's C tier. Of course, they can change something on the PTR, and that would be a rework, for example, on the bosses. But I feel like right now those two specs are going to need a bit of love, like design and implementation wise, especially for the hero tons. Now we have like two healers and a priest. I think Shadow Priest. I do feel like if I have to choose a second spec, what I would play as a healer going into War Within, it would be a very close tie between Disc Priest and Restoration Shaman. I think Druid. So I think being able to do a lot of damage, but also heal your allies, protect your allies, being preventive, being with your Void Weaver hero tons, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be like something very fun to play around. So I do feel like Disc Priest is in a great spot to be S tier, to recommend as a spec to be maining in War Within. Holy Priest is something that I'm not really fanatic about, so I'm going to put that at no opinions. I'm very sorry for the people that do main it, but it's very difficult to talk about our Holy Priest because it's something I don't see played too much right now. The PTR is full of Disc Priest, so maybe they give words on about how it will work and how it will play out. But right now, Holy Priest is not seen too much on the PTR. It's like mostly like Disc Priest and how it works and the PvP behind it. And then we have like Shadow Priest, which, in my opinion, it is a straight improvement from Dragonflight. So for me, it's going to be also a A-tier spot. It is going to be stronger. It's going to be sturdier. It has hero tons that are very effective as well. So I'm going to say that Shadow Priest has it good going into War Within. So this is pretty much my tier list. I didn't really want a E tier anyways, but right now I do feel like Elemental Shaman has it really bad currently, and it's not like power level wise. I think Elemental Shaman is going to be very strong. It's going to be very sturdy. It's going to be solid like in Dragonflight, except if the balancing is going to be against Elemental Shaman, so basically doing less damage or less available damage. I do feel like Elemental Shaman right now is in a good spot, damage wise and balancing wise, but I do feel like right now if you want to have more as an Elemental Shaman, you need a rework on the hero tons, you need a rework on the spec trees, so it's not really that easy to do, I guess. So as you may see, it is very top heavy. It is not like a meta tier list. It's not like which spec is the strongest out there. It's not that, but more like which spec are going to be more worthy to main because of the arguments that I'm giving to you on this video. Now I'm very tired, so I'm going to stop the video right now. Again, thank you for watching the video. Really, I appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.